Okay, so we're here with Rich Oxenham, my brother, who's going to be talking through character creation for Inspirisles, as well as a little bit of the game mechanics and maybe a little bit of a playthrough as well, just so we can understand the mechanics of the game a little bit more. First of all, Rich, it's doing exceptionally well on Kickstarter. You must be really pleased.
Yeah, I'm so exceptionally pleased. It's blown my expectations. We wanted a goal of just over £1,000, and it's made 4.5 in 18 hours. So I'm quite blown away, really.
Exactly, not even day one finished yet.
No, it will be when we finish this stream.
yeah, and sorry to take you away from. I know that you're busy on social media, especially Twitter, thanking everyone and.
That's fine.
And keeping the buzz alive, but
of course, yeah.
But yeah, just for myself, because I've not created a character on this system before. I don't know sign language, so I thought it'd be quite a nice little introduction for people to see how that system works at this early stage. We must point out as well that I guess this is development stage still, so things may change, of course, but just to get an idea.
No problem. That sounds perfect. I'd love to go through that.
Awesome. What I really love about it, and obviously being my brother, I've talked to you quite a bit about it, but I really like the idea of it's a belief system rather than hit points, death, and all of that. And you've really tried to stress that in the Kickstarter. It's about this belief system. And I know you've already mentioned the likeness to Neverending Story and the idea behind that. One of my all-time favourite stories, books and films as well. And it's really nice that you've encompassed this as well as targeting the young adults and those teenagers.
Yeah. So I'm very influenced by 80s films and the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Neverending Story, all those amazing, enduring fantasy films. And the idea came around about that, about a kingdom sort of crumbling, and everyone has to work together within this kingdom to maintain it and to keep it stable. It doesn't really matter if you've got malevolent intent or if you're you're a monster, you've still got to earn belief to keep your home together. So essentially everyone is a bit grey, and everyone is working together for a common goal. Even though some of them are different sides of the coin.
Yep, like in real life, yeah?
For sure, yeah. I'm a great believer in that. I sort of recently was talking to a friend about Disney films and about Ghibli films, Studio Ghibli, the Japanese animations, and one of the directors, Miyazaki, tends to deal with very grey characters, and I like that about his films. Princess Mononoke is one of my favourite animations ever produced, and the characters are incredibly grey in that, and I find it very interesting. I find it very realistic to humanity.
Yeah, superb. And it's pitched at just the right level, I think. And with the addition of obviously the sign language side and deaf awareness, I think that's just a really nice niche that you've hit there as well. And am I right in saying the belief that you acquire during a scenario campaign is both your kind of for your life, but also is your XP as well, and you can effectively spend that belief on the gods or the elements?
It's literally everything. It's literally everything. It's currency. It's an energy. It's a magic. It's life force. It is a leveling system. It is a resurrection system. All these things, healing potions are sort of brewed from belief. Yeah. Even like drinks and stuff are brewed from belief. There's a belief brewery basically in the world as well. Yeah. There's all sorts of it. It's basically, it infuses everything. It even affects you negatively. So there's a thing called disbelief on the reverse side of it, which is obviously a massively important mechanic. If you enter somewhere called the Isles, which is the opposite of the Inspirisles, which is our underworld type thing. Yeah. As you travel deeper through there, you start to drain belief from you. So you start to get more and more. In the Neverending Story, again, it's influenced by that a little bit. When Artex obviously sinks his horse into the swamp, which everyone remembers from their childhood. Yep, of course. My age. Devastating childhood sort of memory, but it takes a lot of ideas from that as well.
Yeah, and you obviously need that. You need the flip side of the coin, or you can't gamify it. It wouldn't make sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I love what I really love about that is it simplifies things. So rather than having to worry about life, mana, XP, all of these different resources. Instead,
all you need coins, mate.
Coins, yeah.
Electrum, platinum, gold,
Yeah.
silver, copper.
Yeah.
Unobtainium.
And I think that's gonna be a massive plus for it. Just to streamline everything and make it so it's so easy to just let the stories drive the campaign. As it awesome. So we're really looking at belief. We're looking at these. So I've been kidnapped. Is that correct? As a foundling.
Yeah, I'll read you the quick, tiny paragraph, but it sort of sums up the whole thing. So, victims of a changeling kidnapping.
Yeah.
The mysterious Inspirisles have been your home and your prison since birth. Adopted and raised by the Fae, you have inherited their supernatural abilities, but will never truly belong amongst them. So, to return home and reunite with your true family, you must earn belief in the respect of their gods, becoming legends in a strange and dangerous land.
Superb. Excellent. So we're really trying to impress these gods of this land, to show that we do believe, and the more belief we have, the better we're going to be progressing through this world effectively. Yeah. So is the changeling are they your main, like, I don't want to call them baddies, I suppose, but the main dark disbelief side of things?
I'll tell you, the changes are very interesting. In Celtic mythology, obviously, the changelings stole babies, human babies, and sat lay in their place, and then tormented the parents. Yep. It was like a folklorian tale.
A bit like goblins. The goblins, the true sense of goblins kind of, in folklore.
Exactly. But the changelings earned the most belief back then.
Right.
Because belief is earned through fear, of course, as well.
Yep.
And through chaos.
Yep.
Anything that's, if you're scared of something, you believe in something more.
Yep.
So it's like I said, it's inherent in everything. So what happened is, even though the sort of goodly races, I suppose, of the Inspirisles kind of hated the fact that they had to let these changes do this horrible deed.
Yeah.
What they struck a bargain with them when they returned to the Inspirisles, and they said, like, yes, you can kidnap all these infants and use them as slaves and stuff, but we want to take a good handful of them and adopt them.
Right.
Right, and that is where the foundlings come in. This is what the player characters are. So you are the adopted, kidnapped children.
Yep.
From the changelings.
From these changelings.
Now living and growing up and being brought up by the friends, which are the races of the Inspirisles, the goodly races.
Sure. I love. I'm still. You know what? I just keep thinking back to. Now I'm thinking back to Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking the start of that, and now you told me I've been adopted and grown up with these mystics, effectively. these Fae.
Yeah. There you go.
I love it.
So it's completely 80s, mate. It's completely 80s.
Yeah. I mean,
but I think the sky's enough not to be like completely.
No, of course. I mean,
honest, obvious.
Yeah, well, you never know. I mean, the thing is, like the teenagers that may play this, that will hopefully play this, they might start to get into 80s films because of the influences from those, which is never a bad thing.
The new series of Dark Crystal is extraordinary.
Yeah, I agree.
Watch that; it's brilliant.
Oh, I agree. I love it. I love the fact they've kept true to the nature of Henson's work. Fantastic. Right. Okay. So. Creating a character first of all. So I'm going to be creating a character from scratch. I've obviously got the blank character sheet here on the screen, and I'm going to be updating this with a pencil effectively as we go through. I'm just going
to get my notes on it.
Excellent. Just talk me through a little bit about the sheet, kind of the different sections.
Right. Well, let me get it up first.
Yeah, of course.
I've got reference then.
Well, obviously, we've got name and pronouns, which are so I would come up with a name. And is it literally any? You can name it anything, or do you want to?
You can even name it because you can play yourself. You can play yourself. You can play a different teenager. Everyone starts the game at 13 years old.
Okay.
Because that's when the first adventure. It's essentially like how do I explain it? It's essentially like the Jungle Book, where Mowgli's sent on his first test.
Yep.
Where he's come of age, and he's the same age as the wolves.
Yep.
So it's like that, and you go on your first test, which is the Duster Trials, and you go to a place called the Allswell,
right,
which transports you to Earth.
Okay.
And humans are the only sort of entity able to travel between the realms.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But they also earn the most belief out of anything.
Okay.
Because when they go to Earth, they've got to convince children to believe in magic.
Sure. To help them in their cause.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and they can do that by scaring people. They can do that by casting spells. They can do that by, I don't know, rising up out of a wave when someone's surfing next to them.
Yeah.
They can do that by. There's multiple ways you could do it. It depends on the Grail guy, which is our GM, to invent kind of scenarios and kind of interesting things on the Earth. And of course, the Grail guy can also set their adventure anywhere.
Yep.
Because
of course,
once you go,
because you can travel between these realms.
Yes. Once you go so you can have it in your hometown. You can have it in a place you grew up in. You can have it in any era since the 70s or 80s.
Yep. Excellent. And am I right in saying there's no race in this? You don't choose different races, different like alien races.
Well, this is where
potentially
this is where you'll find out about the for the sheet. So you've got name and pronouns, obviously.
Yep. So I've put those in.
Your rank is obviously your level.
Okay. So you start at level 1.
Yeah, you start rank 1. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I can talk a bit about that as we go on.
And that's where you can spend your belief to kind of level up, in a way.
Yes.
Okay.
So the really cool thing is about when you so I need to talk a little about these adopted friends, people that have adopted you.
The Fae.
The Fae, they're called they're Fae races. Yeah.
Okay.
There's 8 of them.
Okay.
And what happens when you choose one of these? You choose it based solely on their kind of appearance or their ability, inherent ability they have.
Right. Okay.
So, for instance, a knocker.
Yes.
Knockers can see in the dark. They live in tin mines.
Right.
In Cornwall and Wales, so they can see in the dark. The only race that can see in the dark.
Right.
The worm-bitten, for instance, can breathe fire or elements like Dragonborn in D&D.
Yep.
The glimmers can heal with a touch. They can heal people like paladins.
The support character.
Yeah. And Capra can invent things a bit like gnomes. Again, they are based on slight archetypes.
Of course, because when you create a party, I guess you want to have a bit of a broad range like normal. Yeah. Not essential, but with most RPGs.
And that's why we've made this essential adoption process not non-essential in some ways, because you can have 5 kids or adults playing as knockers.
Yes.
Like a party of knockers, and they can all see the dark. But there's only one ability, and it doesn't affect very much. It just gives you a little bit of a variety.
Yes.
To play with, a little bit of specialisation.
I get you.
Anyway, so for instance, if you pick a knocker, you go to the sheet in the book, and it gives you a little bio, what they are.
I might be able to get
where they live.
I may be able to get that up. Was it on the Kickstarter page?
No.
Oh, it wasn't.
It's all in the core book. It's all in the core book.
Okay. So I can just show them. The friends, the art that you've used. I've just put that up to show you. Love the art, absolutely superb. And
thank you.
And you've done a lot of the art yourself, haven't you? In the
yeah, it's myself and Josh Somerville who did the knot art for the book.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Now, now that we've kickstarted it, we're gonna hire him to do a lot more illustrations for it.
Okay, so let's go with knocker. I quite like the idea of seeing in the dark. So is that where I put as friend?
Yeah, knockers. Yeah.
Okay.
Rank 1, knockers, name and your pronouns.
Yep. Belief. What do you mean by belief?
Now, belief. This is your accumulated points.
Okay. So that's the belief. Okay. Can it go negative?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What is it?
Real disbelief. Negative? Okay.
Real disbelief. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Presume it starts on 0, right?
It's another huge, start from 0. It's another huge element of the disbelief chain. If you, for instance, every encounter in the game is contested between the Grail Guide and the player.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes the players can combine to defeat an encounter.
Awesome. Like a group action.
Yeah, like Power Rangers or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something like a combo attack or a combo encounter.
Yeah, because I've been playing Blazing Dark recently, and with that you can do a group action where you take all the positives and all the negatives as a team. So if you fail on that particular challenge,
this is very much at the heart of the game. It's all about teamwork. It's about empathy. Empathy is one of the main things we want to get across. Now, listen, if disbelief is accumulated too much, right? If it goes too far, then the player group have a choice. They can either use their disbelief to reset the dial type thing and to balance it out.
Okay.
Therefore, they won't be able to level up. They won't be able to earn abilities, items, or spells.
Yeah.
But if they leave it, then the doom clock is activated.
Doom clock?
What the doom clock is, the kingdom's already crumbling.
Yes.
If too much disbelief, then massively negative and turmoil happens to the kingdom. In other words, a volcano can erupt somewhere, or like troll bridges can be built on the edge of the city, or the lake will boil in the north where like the bathhouse is.
I got you.
So they risk the kingdom for their own progression.
Yep, that's awesome. But it also means it's not. It's quite dire consequences, but it's not game over.
No.
And I think that's so important. You don't want it to be like I think most RPGs don't have a game over system, but I think that's really, really nice. It just alters the world that your kingdom that you're from and the things which will affect you in later scenarios, whatever it might be. I've brought up there
are goals. One of them is to unite the kingdom.
Yeah.
But there's two races in the kingdom that are at war.
Right.
But not a war of like murder and
no, sure.
A war of belief.
Of course, yeah, of course. And the more people you can get to your cause of belief, the stronger your side is, and the more you sway to your side, I presume.
And also the other win condition is finding all 5 fragments of Excalibur.
Of course, because a big part of this Inspirisles is all about King Arthur mythology, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Arthurian, Arthurian mythology and folklore, and most of the characters from Arthurian legend are in there. In some like Merlin's in there. Well, it's actually his daughter is. His daughter's a foundling, like an ancestor,
right?
Who is an amateur magician.
Yep.
On Earth, and they pulled her through. She's the only human not to be kidnapped by the changelings. She's the only human to live as an adult there.
Right. Wow.
Yeah,
the only
she's
one.
She's very special because she's obviously got Merlin's kind of blood and heritage abilities.
So does she come in? I know that you're going to be writing some stories or getting people to write some stories, some scenarios. Is she going to be a big part of that narrative?
Oh yeah, she's a massive part. There's a few characters. There's a character called Scrib the Bard, who's actually a friend of mine on Twitter.
Yep.
Who actually runs kids gaming groups already.
Sure.
She's kindly lent me her persona, I suppose, for the book. But she's a literal bard in the game, and she takes you on a journey or a tour of the whole island, Inspirisles, and details. But she does it in a colloquial kind of interview way.
Right.
So she's like talking to locals, even when she goes into a malevolent area like the underworld.
Yeah.
She's like chatting away to them, the crime bosses and stuff.
Yeah.
Because essentially, Because essentially, she's been blessed by one of the inspired, and this is the whole other thing to talk about is the gods.
Of course, yeah.
So she is the patron of one of the gods. She's like the main child of one of them, as is Merlin's ancestor as well.
Yeah. So they've got kind of like people in the world that you've created, each of the gods.
Like emissaries.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's superb.
Yeah, but they're completely untouchable. No one can battle them. No one can fight them. No one can do anything about them.
Sure.
They're untouchable. They're completely
But obviously, what's really great about this, what's the great thing about RPGs is you're basically giving some foundations and some mechanics that the Grail guy can basically do what they want with, and that's the whole beauty with RPGs, of course.
You've got to leave room for creator sort of exploration and to bring your own. For instance, I was talking on the podcast the other night, and we were talking about another big bit of the sheet you'll see on the sheet is art.
Yes.
Now, what the concept behind that is really interesting, because we're going to get the teenage players to think about what they're into, right? Whether it's video games, whether it's violin, whether it's swimming, whether it's skateboarding, whatever.
Yeah.
and they can bring that art into the game. So when they're born, they essentially grow up with these abilities.
Okay.
Now they can use that art as the way of accumulating belief.
Okay. So will that be up to the Grail guy to kind of incorporate those arts into the story?
That would be up to them to incorporate within the story. So before they check the character sheets like you would in any sort of role playing game.
Sure.
And you go, because the sheet's very streamlined. There's not a lot to work out on that.
No, very important, and I love that about it.
So it allows the Grail guy to have some really good things to mind and kind of really think about it and kind of memorise what those people are and make them quite unique.
Sure. Sure.
And also the teams can play themselves essentially a little bit. They don't have to role play too much, but enough that they'll get engaged in this new magical world.
Definitely.
But there's still the use of the arts is still an encounter. It's still a social encounter. So therefore, it's still contested with the audience. Yeah. So if someone plays a guitar in a tavern, and we both roll for it, we both have a contested role. Yep. And if I win, then I don't particularly like that player.
Yeah.
And they'll get disbelief. They'll be booed or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. No. I like that. So you could basically. Well, you can't you? You can put belief and disbelief into any situation. Literally.
Absolutely.
So
it's much better than love and fear or anything like that, or good and evil.
So for art, what I'm going to do is I'll just put board games.
Yeah, sure.
If that's all right. We'll just put something in there.
Yeah.
So the one above art is trait.
But you see, if you were an inventive Grail guy, you could say you were good at tactical battle, or you were good at tactics.
Sure.
So therefore, you could bring that in any scenario and go like, oh, I think we should head up to the high ground or something.
Thinking ahead, isn't it? Planning, strategizing.
Yeah, strategy.
Yeah. So traits above art. So, is there a number of traits you can choose from?
Trait is the initial one. Is the friend's ability. So Knocker, your trait is
seeing
dark vision or dark vision.
Sure. Yeah. So just apologies for my amazing writing, but seeing dark in the dark would make a little more sense.
So when you select a character, you read a little tiny paragraph about it.
Okay.
So the Knockers, they're inhabiting the minds of Inspirisles, solitary creatures, fiercely protective of their dank, inhospitable homes, forever digging for veins of silver and precious gemstones to adorn anything plain or lifeless. They love the arts as much as they love wealth. Knockers will travel great distances to seek an audience with the inspired Kilner, believing he is the patron of their race.
Okay.
Now, so who's your patron?
Kilner.
Yes. So your patron is the fire god.
Ah, okay. I'm just going to bring the Kickstarter down because again, I absolutely love the art you've done for the Inspired. Absolutely brilliant. So Kilner with his forge. So
Kilner's a forge. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, this is I'll just read the rest of the Knocker thing.
Yeah, of course.
So their capital is a place called Pengredi Mine, which is in Cornwall.
Yeah.
In the UK. Their ruler's called Atom Craghome. Their patron's Kilner, as I said, and their ambition is to mine the Underisles.
Ooh. And so this is the underworld?
So each race has an ultimate ambition.
Right.
So to create the maximum amount of belief, Knockers as a race would have to mine down far enough to get into the underworld.
Okay.
But that's fiercely protected by another race.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But another race. Not who's the patron for that one then? I presume. No, you're not going to tell me.
Now, someone has just pledged the £500.
That's the one.
So it hasn't got a name yet because it's going to be named after the patron.
So that will be the patron for the. Oh, we're not spoiling too much, are we? But that'll be the Underisles patron.
Yeah, which is a secret god. They didn't know came to be.
That's very cool. But I'm going to be in direct, not conflict, but certainly direct interaction with that being a Knocker.
Yes. Yeah, because you're both vying for the underworld essentially.
Yeah. Or
the underground.
Okay.
And then what you have on the sheet on the race section is you have a really a nice flavour paragraph to describe what it was like to be kidnapped and waking up with them.
Okay.
So it says your first memory was of rock and a constant hammering of metal. Just as you were adjusting to the darkness, something was poured into your eyes, blinding and burning. For 3 days and nights you cried, unable to see anything but a strange darkness, not a wall of black, but something pulsing with life. Then your world appeared, hewn rock, gleaming gemstones, carts, buckets, picks, and mole-like creatures surrounding your amethyst crib.
Oh, nice. Ooh,
So
poured in my eyes.
All your abilities as a foundling are garnered through the use of belief.
Yeah.
Right? So belief is also a solid thing. So
Okay.
It can be put into water. It could be. It's like it's got an energy.
It can be used.
Right?
Yeah.
And what the knockers did is they kept splashing your eyes as an infant all the time until you could see in the dark.
Which was the belief for what they believed in.
Yeah. And the worm bitten, for instance, you drink it, and you start breathing fire. It's like a hot version.
Okay. So I would presume your lungs for the first few weeks, your lungs felt like they were burning and you couldn't breathe, and then you slowly start to believe that you're able to do that. I got you.
Your first memory was of steam and a desperate thirst. Just as you were adjusting to the heat, something was poured into your mouth, thick and acidic. For 3 days and nights you cried, unable to drink anything. Where was the milk of the breast you so desperately craved? Then sustenance came, but it was more of a black liquid. Oh, now it tasted wonderful. Drinking too much, you belched a tiny cone of flames, nearly singeing the hairs of the snake-like creatures surrounding your scaled crib.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of flavour for you.
So how would you? I guess we might talk about this actually. We might talk about this a bit actually after we've done the character creator. I just want to know how you envisage like groups to come together and what would their kind of stories? How would they start? Because obviously those different races are really quite different. The friends are quite different.
So another influence. Imagine Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yep.
Right. The main key scene in that is the meeting at Rivendell.
Council of Elrond. Yep.
That is the premise behind Inspirisles.
I got you.
So you're 13 years old. You're sent as the champion of each race.
I got you.
Foundling.
Yep.
To the Allswell, where you go on your first trials.
Superb. Oh, that answers the question. That answers the question. That's superb.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Just quickly, yeah.
So then I've got elements. So would I select Earth being? Fire.
No, your element is fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
As your patron.
Of course, grain was the Earth. Inspired.
The woodley, a tree. Yeah.
And it says token. What's token mean?
Token is a bit like an inspiration point from those dragons. In other words, you get a token from the inspired. Right. So if you happen to meet your patron,
yes,
and impress them,
yes,
they will give the Grail guy will offer you a token.
Right.
It's like a token of patronage, basically.
I get you. Like a champion.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, so of their things, and you do that by meeting the kind of the beliefs of that particular inspired.
They don't have particular beliefs because beliefs earned in every single way.
I guess so. Yeah.
Sorry,
I meant like the objective of so sort of like if I can help delve down into this underworld, under Isles, then that's a good chance of me. Be able to earn those tokens.
You increase it, manifest it.
So you start with no tokens, I presume, obviously.
No, don't start with the tokens. No. And then we've got what else have we got on here? We got.
Then we move on to attributes.
Yeah.
So I'll bring this up on the attribute system up on the Kickstarter page as well, just so we can see a little bit about. I think it's just up here. Yep, there we go. So you've said here on the Kickstarter, we've got sword, shield, speed, smart, social, and survival. So they are our 6 attributes that we deal with, and obviously you wanted it to liken to your typical RPGs, but just with a slight take on it.
Well, I feel like it's a bit more open, a bit more broad. In other words, like a lot of things can go into a sword and shield image. A lot of things can go into speed and smarts and social and survival.
Yeah.
It's just about the Grail guide deciding where these things fit.
Okay.
Well, obviously, we'll give examples and scenarios, but at the end of the day, they're going to have to, if you hide in a cave overnight, there's going to be survival, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
You just use your common sense with this. The thing about so I forgot to tell you actually, your element has an adverse element. So obviously, fire has a negative element of water.
Sure.
So if you come up against Aethelin, who's the god of water.
Yep. Sure.
Then and his their kind of like minions or whatever, then
sure.
you're going to be in trouble.
I'm going to be at a disadvantage to that.
Yeah,
sure.
disadvantage. Anyway, so when you start off, to pick what you do is you have a belief pattern.
Right. Okay.
It's called a belief pattern. This determines your attribute level. It determines your attribute distribution.
Okay.
Right. Now, what we do is with the kids or with any adult players, we ask them a question.
Okay.
And what they do in response to this question.
Okay.
So you put your first response, your second response, your third response, your fourth response, your fifth response, sixth one. So from your first instinctive response all the way down to what you pick last.
Okay, I got you. And will that determine the strength of each attribute, effectively?
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
So, a band of hungry-looking trolls approach from the edge of the forest. You must keep the villagers safe. Do you draw your blade and charge at the trolls?
Yeah.
Raise your shield and step between the villagers and the trolls.
Yeah.
Run to the east, distracting the trolls from the villagers.
Yeah.
Tell the villagers to light their torches, knowing fire scares the trolls.
Yeah.
Convince the trolls they are outnumbered and will lose the fight.
Yeah.
Lead the villagers into the cave to the west with a narrow entrance.
Okay. Let's go with. I feel like I'm a defender of the people, so I'm going to go with your second option. Put on my shield and defend.
So shield would be your top ability stat.
Right.
Okay.
So what would I put down on the sheet?
Let me have a look a minute. Let me find the sheet. So you put down 6.
6 in shield.
Plus 6.
I see. So this is like a modifier?
It's called your boon. It's a modifier to the dice rolls.
Okay.
Next, what would you choose?
Okay. Next, I would tell the villagers to light their torches. It seems like the
Smart.
least confrontational.
You're trying to outwit the troll.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So smarts, I presume that's going to be a +5?
Yeah, that's right.
I get you. And then I keep going through these. So then I would
hide in a cave, run to the east.
I think I would lure them. I'd run and lure. I think would be next.
Okay, so speed is the next one. For 4.
Then I would fight them.
So that's 3 on sword.
Then I would go to the cave into the narrow entrance.
So survival 2 and social 1.
Okay. Cool.
So you're not a very social interactor.
No.
You can still do it, but you've got less likely to succeed.
Sure. I feel like a defender of the people, but try least confrontational way of.
And I hope as a development team that if you pick sword as your top stat, then you'll play your character a little bit more sort of like aggressively and like a bit more gung ho and a bit more kind of and vice versa for all different things.
Just a question,
and
you may not know the answer to this, but let's say you've got 4 members of the party that want to play this, and you're doing character creation at the same time. Would you ask the question and then get them all to respond for their first one all together, and then go to the second one? And
100%. But they wouldn't tell us. They would write it down.
Sure. Definitely. Because I love the fact that this is very personal. This character creation is very 100%. Personal. It's not just a dice roll, and then you just chuck in your stats to what you would want to be.
It also would be very interesting is if whether the teams or whether the players pick something that's close to home. Or something that is a bit of a fantasy for them. Yeah,
of course. I mean, a massive part of RPGs is, of course, is to do something very different from yourself, as well, or very similar to yourself. That free range. Okay, excellent.
So then we have an example action list for each of these things. So sword can be attack or any physical exertion.
Yep. Okay.
Shield can be defending and belief restoration.
Nice. Okay.
Speed can be instinct, fleeing, sneaking, or stealing.
Sure.
Smarts can be learning, inspecting, scheming, and crafting.
Yep.
Social can be reading, charming, scaring, and performing.
Yep.
And survival could be surveying, tracking, hiding, and brewing.
Yep. That all makes sense. And like you say, the Grail guide with make the determination of what the situation is.
It's just a base kind of idea of where these things.
Yeah, I love that. Then we've got the 6 polyhedral dice, different polyhedral dice below. So how does that come in?
Right. So this is called the Grail Pool.
Okay.
Right. Now, this is when you go to Avalon after your first trials, after your first adventure, you get an audience with the spirit of Arthur and Guinevere.
Wow, okay.
They give you each... I don't know if you ever played Dark Souls.
No.
Well, in Dark Souls, the video game, you get a thing called Estus Flask, which is essentially something you swig and it restores your life.
Yep.
Like anything, like the Zelda HP flask.
Yep.
Healing potion, essentially.
Yep.
Now, the Grail Guy's difference is it's actually dipped into the Holy Grail.
Yes.
Is dipped into water from the Holy Grail.
Okay.
And filled up.
Okay.
It's like a flask you carry around with you.
Yes.
Now, what that means is this flask, this level of water, every time you fill it up, it contains 6 polyhedral dice.
Okay.
The set of polyhedral dice, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Now, in any encounter, you roll your 2d6.
Which is your standard action pool.
Yeah, as a contested thing.
Yes.
Then you add your boon.
Yep.
Depending on what the encounter's about.
Yep.
And then if you're still drawing with the encounter thing, you can turn to your Grail Pool, which gives players an edge.
Now, question. So you don't have to decide on your Grail Pool until you've seen the results of your opposing dice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ah, brilliant. Super.
It's kind of like it's kind of like if you imagine like you're attacking like this group of trolls.
But it's still random, right?
You say neck the Holy Grail water.
But it's still random because you can still roll a 1.
100%. And then you've lost that edge.
That's awesome. So the Holy Grail, as we know, is different aspects of it in different kind of mythology, as it were, and different beliefs. But yeah, effectively, it's giving you special powers. I guess you could say.
It's essentially a special power. Yes, it's like a special attack.
Awesome. So do I put a 1 below each one of those dice?
Yes. Yeah, you start with 1 each.
And can I then assume that you can save some of those dice to roll over to get multiple of those dice, or
no?
Okay.
If they're not used in one play session, they're gone.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. It makes sense with the narrative because you're saying you're refilling your flask with this Holy Grail water.
You just imagine the water goes stale. So
yeah, of course.
I think that's the way.
But it loses its Grail ability.
Its potency, I guess.
Superb.
Yeah, so you got 1 of each of them.
Yep.
Now, the things at the bottom, which are spells, abilities, and items.
Yes.
This is a whole new thing. These are earned from in 3 ways.
Okay.
Okay, and all of them are by sacrificing belief to something.
Right. Okay.
Now.
Okay.
Pilgrimage is going...
Again, I think we've got this on the Kickstarter, have we not? Here we go. Yep, I've brought it up on the Kickstarter so we can read along with you.
Pilgrimage, you go to... There's a thing called the World Tree, which essentially holds the whole kingdom up. Its roots spread out over the whole kingdom.
Very nice, cool.
Right, and it's essentially the thing that's dying.
Right, okay.
Through disbelief, okay? So, pilgrimage, rather, is you travel to the World Tree at Avalon.
Yes.
And you pour belief that you've collected over the roots.
Yep.
And what you get from that is abilities.
I get you. That's the training side of things, it says here.
So in Avalon, the court of Avalon, you're trained in things by the knights, essentially.
Okay, so what does training entail? Can you tell us anything about that?
You go into Avalon and you train with the knights, and most of the spirits, or like undead kind of like knights.
Like Sir Lancelot and maybe people like that?
Yeah, things like that. I don't think we're going to have any, like, apart from Arthur and Guinevere, I don't think we're going to have, like, Galahad and all these lot. I think it's just going to be, they're going to have strange names. And some of them are going to be foundlings. Okay. That have been there for, like, hundreds of years. Sure. They grew up and they became knights of the court.
Okay, yeah.
But anyway, regardless, they basically, the amount of belief you give to the tree determines what they train you in and to what level. Okay,
that makes sense. Okay. And does that affect your boons? How would that manifest itself in the game?
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
So the other thing is a patronage, which you can imagine is delivering belief to your patron.
Yep.
So if you're a knocker child, you take it to Kilner.
Kilner. Yep.
And you give it as patronage. And he inspired the only people that can teach you spells.
Right. Okay.
They're the only being in the whole of the kingdom that knows magic.
I see. Okay.
Now, that's interesting because this is where the sign language element comes in. This is the whole big thing.
Yeah.
As part of the game, this is about accessibility, deaf awareness, and all these things.
So the spells are the thing that this deaf awareness, this sign language, really comes into play.
Yes. Yeah. So you finger spell the spells. Finger spelling. Essentially. Yeah. And then you make gestures, and then it creates a spell. Yeah.
I got you.
So that's how you earn spells, and items is called providing.
Yep.
Now this means that you take belief back to your homeland.
I get you.
You offer it to your community, so you offer it to the tin mine, basically.
That makes sense.
So
yeah.
New picks or like gemstones to adorn, something like that.
That makes sense to help them for their objective, for their belief, what they're hoping to.
They give you essentially is gift cards.
Okay.
Which you can spend in the shops.
Okay.
And get items.
Awesome.
So that's the three ways. These are the three elements that you can upgrade and you can move up in, and you can collect more of.
Sure.
More and more powerful as you go up levels and ranks. Now, at the bottom of the character sheet, that's where they sit. These are represented by 3 stacks of cards.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. So we've got the 3 areas on the bottom of the sheet. Yep. I can see that.
Yep. So let me get the sheet again.
So are you allowed one of each at any given time?
Yep.
Okay.
One of each. That is exactly what you're allowed. You'll have one first rank, 2 at second rank, 3 at third rank. Goes up and up until you get to the maximum rank. Okay.
Superb. So, if you don't mind, do you want to go into a little bit more detail about those 3 things, about the training, the spells? I don't think we need to go into items so much, but certainly the training and the spells.
So, as I said, you train with the knights, the undead knights, or the spirits of the knights, in the core, and the items and the spells and the abilities, actually, what they do is this the first part of an encounter is they come into play.
I got you.
Now, they determine everything that follows. Right. So if it's an action, it's not in battle. Okay.
Yeah.
The founding attempts to overcome the obstacle by laying down any number of shape, ability, or item cards.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, these cards will have modifiers on them that will affect the dice rolling.
Okay. Oh, in fact, there was an example, was there not?
Yeah, there's an example on the Kickstarter about it's against a rock troll.
Let me bring that up because I did just see. Here we go. Where they're playing a card, Fireball.
Fireball, yeah. It's against a shield, I believe, or something, or rock.
Against the rock shield, yes.
Yeah. So those are both cards.
Okay.
So the rock troll, even the trolls that you wouldn't have an item or something, would have some sort of skin or like anything like that.
Sure. And that would be that would be in the rule book in terms of what that.
There'll be a collection of them. There'll be a collection of them with the rule book.
Yep.
And then we just unlocked the first stretch goal, which was to have a robust collection.
Sure.
So we're gonna have like 4 or 5 sheets of them now.
But obviously there'll be blank templates there. The Grail guy can obviously create
100%.
Their own.
There'll be blank
again,
templates
very
for
important.
both the cards and for monster creation.
Superb.
So you can roll. You can either put one shape down, one ability in a shape, or one item ability in a shape, depending on how much you want to influence the encounter.
Sure.
But of course, once those cards are used, they're expended.
Yep. When you sorry, Rich. Yeah, just to interrupt. When you expend that card, do you basically just flip it over, and do you get it? Do you get it when you refresh?
Yeah. So basically, the card's got 2 sides. The card has got. It's not. They're not fully designed on that website.
No, of course.
Josh is going to do them from scratch with his amazing knot art. They're going to look incredible.
Superb.
But basically, you flip it over, and it's got the same image on the other side, but with like a line through it, and it's darkened.
Excellent.
So you know it's been used, basically.
So it's that risk of reward again, because I presume you've got to decide on the cards before you do your rolls.
Yeah, cards are the first decision. Yeah, do you use them? It's all a lot of risk reward stuff. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, cool.
Now, founding rolls 2d6.
Yep.
Unless altered by the cards.
Okay.
So it could be 2d6 or it could be 2d6 plus 2. Could be a 1d8 and a d6.
Yep. Okay. I got you.
Founding adds the appropriate boon to put in the counter.
Which is
so if it's defending, it would be shield. You add your boon level.
Yep.
And then as a last resort, the founding can roll any number of dice available in his or her Grail Pool to boost the score. Some of their shapes, abilities, and items may impact how the dice work.
Sure. Excellent, superb. And if we take the example you've got on Kickstarter, it really is self-explanatory anyway. But you've said here exactly what you've just said. So it's play card, roll 2d6, attribute bonus, card bonus, and then Grail Pool in that order. I presume you play it like the defender and the attacker both have the opportunity to play cards first, then they both roll their 2d6, then they both do their attribute. Excellent.
Absolutely.
And the fireball, which is, it's got the elemental here, and it's got two numbers, a 1 and a 1. What do they mean? Either side of it. Is that just showing it's a level 1 or something?
Level and oh, I don't know. I haven't got a picture of it.
Oh, sorry. It's two circles either side of the element.
1 and 1. It's level of the spell.
Okay.
And
okay.
I think it's casting, or it's rank or something. Or rank. I don't know actually. Let me look. Let me have a quick look. I've got a picture of it. I'll be able to see it. Here we are. 1. Oh, the tier of the spell is the left one.
Yes.
And the uses is the right one.
So you might actually be able to use a card more than once.
Yeah, because if you get a level rank 2 fireball, that's 2 uses.
I see. Superb. Excellent. You got the name of this spell next, or the item, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Then you got a little bit of a narrative part. You conjure a ball of flame between your palms. Nice. A little bit of description about what you're actually doing. +1 to any sword. So is that against a sword?
No. So if your encounter's a battle.
Yes.
Combat. It gives you a +1 bonus.
Right. Okay.
So, but if you're defending, you don't get any bonus, obviously.
Yep. I got it.
So you wouldn't use a sword. You wouldn't use a fireball unless you attack it.
Yes.
Obviously. But if you're facing an earth element, so one of Igraine's minions, or Igraine's children, then you get +2.
Which this one, in this example, is.
Which this example is, yeah.
I see. Okay.
But the rock skin or the shield that he's using is almost adverse to it.
Of course, yeah. +2. Except it's +2 if facing an air elemental. So the good news is that because it's not that opposite that you talked about before.
Then, he doesn't get a bonus.
No, exactly, which is really cool. So he's going to get the +1 on the shield for his card bonus. So therefore, they roll their 2 dice. The foundling gets 5. And so does the rock troll in this example. Then they go to the attribute bonuses, which you go to your character sheet on. Obviously, the foundling in this particular example is not very good on his swords, being his least proficient attribute. Then the card bonus, as we said, facing the earth elemental would be +2. And then they've decided to roll, I think that's a D6, judging by the picture. Or is it a D8? Sorry, D8. D8, judging by the picture. I managed to get a +4. But they've only done that because if we look down at the rock troll, they roll a 5. They get the +2 from their attribute in their shield. Take the 7, +1 because of the card they've used. So they are tying at the moment. Now, is it the attacker? Not necessarily attacker, because as you said, it's not always about combat. But the person taking the test, they've got to get higher than the opposing roll.
Yeah.
Okay, so they decide on using their D8 for whatever reason, and they get a +4, and they manage to get 12. So they go over.
Yeah. So they use one of their Grail dice.
Exactly.
Grail Pool dice.
Now, just to ask, does it matter how much more you succeed or how little you succeed over that the opposing, or is it literally just a pass-fail?
It is. It depends on your rank.
Okay.
If you defeat, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ranks altogether.
Okay.
You start as an islander.
Yep.
And your adverse person is a denizen.
Okay.
Then you're a fledgling and a beast.
Yep.
Warrior and a terror. A champion and a fiend.
Right.
A hero and a scourge. And then you're both legends.
Right. Okay. So these are the things you will face.
If an islander at level rank 1 defeats a fiend at level 4,
yes,
then obviously your belief bonus is huge.
I see.
Now, this is the thing. Now, this is where disbelief comes in. This is where the contested thing comes in.
Sure.
Now, instead of hit points, you have a disbelief table.
Okay. Cool.
Now, an islander has 1 level of disbelief.
Yep.
So if the islander lost that encounter with the rock troll,
yes,
that one sequence of events,
yes,
they would surrender.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
If they're a fledgling,
yep,
they could do it twice. You could have two lots of attack. They'd first be hopeless, then they would surrender.
Right. Okay. So the stronger you
are,
if
you're a warrior, you'd be faithless, hopeless, and surrender. If you're a champion, you'd be fearful, faithless, hopeless, and surrender. If you're a hero, you'd be rattled, fearless, faithless, hopeless, and surrender. And if you're a legend, you'd be doubtful, rattled, fearful, faithless, hopeless, and surrender.
Right. So depending on what you're facing,
yes,
will determine, number one, the amount of belief that you will get from the encounter.
Yeah, but also your challenge to take them down.
Sure.
Because it's very difficult to make a legend feel disbelief when you're a little scrawny.
Yeah, of course. So the test is a lot harder, and there's much more chance to get disbelief from this table.
But
the reward is
huge,
massive.
Yeah.
So it's a way of love that. That's awesome. That's cool. Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you for answering that.
So it also means though, if you're taking a lot bit harder challenge, even if it's a social challenge or an environmental challenge,
yeah, of course,
or a puzzle, right?
Of course.
You could literally try and put all your resources into that one challenge.
Yes, to get a massive amount of belief.
Puzzle, because puzzles have these disbelief tables as well.
Yes,
5 ranks. So you could say like, I'm doubtful you'll be able to open this lock. I'm rattled. You're fearful. I'm not going to do it. I'm faithless. I'm never going to do it, and I'll give up.
Yep.
But you could use your cards. You could use your your Grail Pool. You can even tell your companion or your fellow, say, can I have some of your sip of your Grail Pool?
Yeah, of course. And use one of their Grail Pools. Yeah.
It's about that collaboration. But of course, your companions then lost that ability to win their encounter.
Of course. No. I think that's, again, it's just another point to stress. Again, is that it's not all about combat. Which I think is really, really important. It's about all different types of obstacles, no matter what it might be.
Role playing is all encounters. It's all to do with social, combative, and environmental mainly.
Excellent.
So even if you wanted to brew a concoction, you'd have to go through those 5 stages.
Sure. And I presume these spells and abilities and stuff will reflect that they're not all going to be combat spells, of course. They're going to be all different types of spells that you can use.
Some of them are alchemy, some of them would be like social things, some like athletics, athletic type abilities, anything like that. Yeah.
Okay, so with this
range.
If we carry on with this example with the fireball, at the bottom of the card you've got the sign language spelling out. Fire. Spelling out fire. Now, you'll have a kind of reference sheet, I presume, in the book with what the sign language is, first of all. But I presume the Grail Guide will be there to, as a judge, effectively, to see if you've done it correctly.
Not really, because the Grail Guide won't necessarily have a lot more experience with sign language than the players.
Sure.
And the players and the Grail Guide might take turns playing the sort of Grail Guide.
Of course, yeah.
It's meant to be a massively collaborative learning environment.
Yeah.
And also, just to make it clear, the sign language element is completely optional, because if someone doesn't feel comfortable learning, or they don't feel like they're up to the ability to do it, then I don't want to feel excluded from the game.
Yep, that makes sense. No, that makes total sense. And
there's no bonuses for sign language. It's just a fun element to it, and it's an introduction to deafness and deaf culture,
and also it's a chance to learn. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity to learn, which I just absolutely love about it. So in terms of this one, and you'll practice it, because every time I would cast Fireball in this particular, I would be learning these things. But it's really nice you've got the visual. Yeah, well, you're obviously a lot better than me. But just looking at these visual representation, what I love about it is you've got the visual representation. So it doesn't say, it's not descriptive. It literally just shows you. So kind of like this for F, and then this for I. Yeah. Then.
Oh, it's quite difficult. Curl your finger in a loop.
Like this?
Into your palm.
Ah, like this. Like this.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. It's quite small on my screen, so I'm just trying. And then.
And E's another vowel, so it's your second finger.
So.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect, mate.
So just to point out, I've never signed before in my life. And that's what I really love about it is you're seeing those pictorial versions of each of the sign for each of the letters, and you're picking those up, and then obviously, like I didn't know that spelt fire. You told me that this would spell fire at the bottom of the card, and as a player, when I get that Fireball, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is that reference sheet and saying, what is this spelling out at the bottom?
What are those letters?
Which is really, really cool. So I love that. And they play the card, and as you said, optionally, if they want to cast it, then they would do the sign, and then move through them. Love it. Yeah. Brilliant. Superb. And it's brilliant.
There's items with rope on it, and there's like most of them will be 4 to 5 symbols at the bottom.
I was going to say, is it?
But the cards, that's the idea basically.
Okay, cool, superb. Okay, excellent. So you'd have those, as you said, the spells, abilities, and your weapons slots at the bottom of the character sheet there. You basically put these cards on top of those spaces. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, super. As you said, it's a really streamlined character sheet, which is obviously very important.
I mean, Bill Allen is quite a famous role player. He role plays with high school students in the US, and he recently did a promo video. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but he was saying about the character sheet and how intuitive it is and streamlined and simple.
Yeah.
And it really gives identity to each person. And I wanted to make a big portrait area as well. And they can do a bit of sketching, a bit of drawing, as I imagine they would be.
That was my next point.
Someone plays guitar as their art form. They could have a guitar in the picture.
Well, that's exactly what I was just about to mention. I really love the fact you've got a blank canvas that literally the player could put anything in. They could put some graffiti in if they wanted to, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what D&D sheets are like? They're just absolutely so crunchy and so kind of like fiddly.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, they've adapted them recently to make like very, very, very like friendly ones, like child friendly ones, for instance. But they're still a little bit stat heavy. In my
do a little
opinion.
meeple.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Do a little meeple.
Now, so battle's a bit different than normal encounters, but it's still a similar idea, like you said. By the way, advantage.
Okay.
Is something. You said about the attacker or defender going first.
Yes.
Advantage is whoever goes first is based on your speed stat.
Okay. So a kind of initiative.
Boom. Sorry.
A kind of initiative.
It's initiative, yeah, basically, yeah. So advantage is established through the highest speed stat.
Now. The only other thing...
Attacker and defender lay down any number of shape, ability, and time cards. Attacker and defender roll 2d6 unless altered by the cards.
Yep.
Attacker and defender add their sword and shield boon respectively.
Yep.
Founding can roll any number of dice available in his or her Grail Pool to boost the score.
Sure.
Some of their shapes, abilities, and items may impact how the dice work.
Yep.
I need to change his or her to they, there as well.
Yeah.
For the pronouns. I need to remember that. Foundling or opponent with highest result wins. Combatant who loses consults the disbelief table. If they reach total disbelief, they have failed the encounter and simply surrender. Belief for points are awarded accordingly.
So when you say surrender, what what does that mean? Does it just mean that they would get disbelief, so it would go like negative on their belief score?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they lose disbelief. Yeah,
that makes sense.
And also they also surrender the encounter.
Yes.
So whether it's a battle, whether it's like they just go, no.
Yep.
Okay, you win. You win. You don't have to kill me. I give up.
Yep. Yep. I don't believe I can do it. I don't believe I can do it.
Yeah. And as I said, enough to belief. Disbelief is accumulated as a group. Then the doom clock is consoled.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that can happen is the questing beast is unleashed.
Oh.
Because it sensed the waters of the Holy Grail, and what the questing beast wants to do is drain the Holy Grail.
Oh wow!
Essentially, removing the Grail pools from all the players.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
That's the worst.
That's the worst.
That's the worst. Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh no, that's fantastic, Rich. Thanks for going through, the different aspects of the character sheet, because for myself, really, I just wanted to kind of just get the idea of a little bit more about the lore and about how that entails into the character sheet. And yeah, you've gone through all that.
I hope it makes sense. I hope I've explained everything pretty well.
Yeah, that's superb. I mean, I know it's still quite early days, but you seem to have everything really fleshed out in terms of mechanics and the idea, the basic ideas. I love the character creation idea in terms of you kind of like putting that story about the adoption at the early days and what led you to be that kind of character.
The mechanics are entirely informed by the themes.
Sure.
Right, and that's what I like most about any game. Including board games. I like the mechanics to completely be infused with the theme.
Oh, of course.
The theme at the heart of it is belief and disbelief, and everything is attributed from that.
Sure, excellent. Right, let's refresh the Kickstarter a second, and we'll see how we're doing. Okay. But you're doing exceptionally well, Rich. It's really taken off, and I'm not surprised. And more importantly, we're getting closer to that American version, which I know that you're really keen for, to help that American audience really have something very bespoke for them.
So I've already got someone lined up for the actual tutorials, as we've got Rajni Kerr, who's my colleague of mine in the place I work, in the Deaf Institute. Yeah, we saw the video. She's doing the British Sign Language versions of the tutorials, and then we've got someone else lined up for the American, who's a traditional American signer, and it's pretty exciting.
I bet, it's fantastic.
It's getting a lot of buzz on social media and Kickstarter because people believe in it, man.
People believe. I think that's all you need.
At the end of the video, it says, we have our belief.
And I think it's important to note as well. I know you said it down at the bottom of the bio, but you've been doing D&D with teenagers for quite a while now in your local community. So you've really seen how this can really help towards that kind of aspect.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've been working with the deaf community for a decade now.
Yeah.
So I know my stuff, and I'm not deaf myself. I'm a hearing person, but I have a lot of passion. I have a lot of drive to get this inclusivity and accessibility out there.
Yeah, and
take it to schools.
And I think a lot of people are thinking down the same lines. I mean, I've pledged it without a doubt. I'm a teacher as well, so I'll be looking to get this involved in schools as well. I think you've got something here which can be put into schools for those after-school clubs, whatever it might be, or even as part of curriculum. You never know, because it's something which was really important. That creativity is so important in life, in education. And
for sure,
being able to have an outlet for that, I think, is superb.
The remarkable thing about the game's timing as well is that I recently spoke to a lady and a son a deaf son who've been campaigning for GCSE BSL.
Yeah,
and they recently won it. Now GCSEs will probably likely to be in schools as a subject option next year.
Yep.
How perfectly timed is my game to come out as a bridge, as an introductory thing?
Yeah, exactly.
For kids across the country.
It
would be extraordinary.
And like you said, it's not a tutorial lesson on sign language. That's not what the game's about. It's about an introduction. It's about a little bit of flavour to get you thinking about sign language, thinking about the deaf community as well, because I think a lot of people. Yeah. you know, don't think about that in a way, and you want to make it really accessible, not just this game, but the whole board game role playing community.
Like, literally, I don't want to be sound reductive, but if one of the kids that are playing my game went into society and some deaf person was in trouble and was signing like you know, problem, like hurt and stuff like this, emergency, and one of the kids knew some of the signs,
yes,
and knew the numbers, something like that.
Yeah, and you've already said that for one of the stretch goals that you're going to introduce more tutorials on more advanced sign language.
Yes. So it's going to be very much a basic introduction with the core, but now, as you said, we've hit $4,000,
4,600 to this point. So
pinch myself.
Well done on that for starters.
So I have to pinch myself a little
we're
bit.
still not finished day one yet. You got 45 minutes.
Oh, I can't even. I don't know what to say. Call me Prosecco here, mate.
Yeah.
What a brilliant day. Anyway, so if we've hit that 4,000, which is all important, and it means that we'll be able to make Inspirisles. So we can make
Inspirisles
linked. Yes, Island and Inspire Island.
See,
yeah.
You're getting me enthused about sign language. Literally, just in this 5 minutes.
If we do that, we're gonna get with that really enthused with the tutorial videos. So we're gonna film them in a professional studio, which I've already booked.
Oh, fantastic!
For September. Hopefully the virus doesn't get in the way, but we've booked it in, and we're gonna have special effects over it. So when she's performing Fireball, she can cast fire out of hands. This is gonna be awesome. And basically, I came up with, I started to develop for Dungeons and Dragons. So like Beholder was like that.
Yep.
You know, with the eye stalks and the body and the eye.
Yeah. Well, it's very visual, isn't it? It's actually. I mean, Japanese kanji, is it that uses kind of like a visual representation of symbols which describe what it's after. Sure. It has that feel about it, and I absolutely love that fact of.
Well, the thing I find most funny is that even spells in D&D and traditional fantasy are meant to be like hand gestures.
Yes. Yeah. I'm
literally doing it as a language.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, obviously, I'll be keeping a real close eye on the Kickstarter, and I'm sure it will just keep going on from strength to strength. But I just wanted to get a video out there that described a little bit about the character creation and a little bit about the lore and the ideas behind it. So thank you for going through all that. And